All right, we're going.
Okay, good. Do you start with music or something?
We could try singing. Da 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 da. Welcome to the call. Another conversation between me and Melissa Ford.
That's right. Another coaching conversation. All right. Well, I want to thank you for saying yes when I said, "Hey, I want to get on your podcast, the one that you and Dave have." And you're like, "It's really not a vlog podcast. We just BS every Thursday or whatever." Um, so I listened to the video that you did on Dave's article, which was 5 things I wish I knew before I got into life coaching and spent money and the whole thing. So as I was listening to it, I became nauseous. And I was just like, oh, I can hardly listen to this anymore. And I listened to about 3 quarters of it. And then I sent you a quick message on Facebook. Hey, can I get on your show? And you're like, no, it's not a show. And then I realized that I'm the one who jacks up my own cortisol and gets myself all cranked up. So I let 2 or 3 days go by and I listened to it again. And I'm really glad I did because I went from fearful and nauseous to appreciative and grateful and really for what you added to the conversation, as well as Dave's honesty about his experience wanting to become a life coach and trying to figure out how to make money and turn it into a business. So I could see how great the conversation was. My initial reaction when I saw it was because I've been coaching for over 20 years, and it really hasn't been until the last few years, really the last 5 years, hitting this path of going pro, where I finally figured it out. And I was struggling and just stuck and more skeptical than Dave sounded. Sorry, Dave, I know you're not here to defend yourself, buddy, but and so I really wanted to just to get on a call with you so that any coach who's out there might hear what I have to say and also talk a little bit about what you and Dave said and just take heart in the fact that if they're on the path, stay on the path. And you guys said that at the end of your conversation. What would you tell yourself, from the future looking back, something like that? And you mentioned keep serving, keep your head in service. And Dave talked about staying on the path. And that it's not an overnight deal, because it's not. And so that's why I'm here. So thank you.
You're welcome. And this is like beautiful because like that conversation with Dave, like I didn't even know the topic. That's the nature of my conversations with Dave. It's like, oh, cool, I get to talk about coaching. It's like just after coming back from ACS, and there's probably things that I would say totally differently in that conversation now after having thought of it and reading his article.
Yeah.
One of the things that I got is like, yeah, like with Dave, there's a cool mixture of, sort of like there's a burnout and there's a realization of like that's not what he wanted to do.
Yeah, yeah. I thought he spent $15,000. I thought he spent it well, realizing after a year he didn't want to be a coach.
Yeah.
I mean,
How
instead of
many years did
struggling
he
with it.
save?
Yeah, how many years, how many friendships did he not, totally destroy because he decided to get out of coaching? Yeah, yeah,
And also, it's refreshing to have the checks and balances of like what are the realizations you have about anything, whether it's coaching or a career or actually often a relationship. Like after you leave, and then it's like, oh yeah,
mm,
and it's sort of like as valuable because like what can you bring after having those realizations, bringing it back in. But yeah, how can you separate the stuff where it's just like sort of being burned because there was a realization you hadn't had yet because it
mm-hmm.
wasn't like far enough along, because there are like ever amazing levels to reach within coaching, these aha moments, like yours, what was like 15 years in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like, there you go, just like wait 15 years and you'll be fine.
Well, that's the beauty of being a coach is that I mean, you're in it. Most coaches are in it because they love personal development. And you cannot continue to excel as a coach and really rise up and become an exceptional coach unless you're willing to continue to do the work yourself. There's just no way. You just stay stuck, and then you're really not in service to any client because you just kind of plateau out, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the great things about this profession. Definitely is. Yeah.
It's like, and that, because I want to like stress that point as well, because there's a lot of coaches who are just, it's almost like they give up the growth aspect. They give up the coaching aspect in pursuit of the business aspect. It's like totally dropping the ball. It's like, okay, I want to make money at this. And then they try to like capitalize on something that they created like years ago and repackage it. It's like, I hate that. That leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. Like the idea of you do like one talk and then you figure out how to try to make a living from that talk forever. Like
repurpose.
Yeah. It's like, that's not coaching anymore.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah. I agree. And I was thinking again about some of the things that Dave said that he wished he had known. And when I read his article, I thought, oh, thank God I didn't know what I was getting into, because I probably wouldn't have gone down the path. I mean, if anybody if you put this up on Facebook or wherever you put this, if anybody is a parent, you will know how much you are grateful you didn't know anything about parenting before you got into it. You were knocked up, gonna have kids, there was no way out. Mm-hmm. So I'm really glad that I didn't know. And what I've discovered too, just in my own life, are the things that are challenging, that you finally conquer, you finally get them, you finally master them to some degree. They're the most rewarding. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely this profession. So Dave said things that he wished he knew. Man, I was glad I didn't know any of it. And and he had a lot of really good points too about mixing your social and your professional and not having any boundaries around that. Mm-hmm. That was well put. So I just wanted to, if it's cool with you, I just wanted to kind of share a little bit about my own path.
Yeah, go. I want to hear too.
Okay, good. Because, now I coach a lot of coaches, and I also coach a lot of entrepreneurs, because it really matters to me that people do what they love and be paid well to do it. I'm all about that. So I want you doing what you love, and I want you to be paid really well to do it. So I started out, like 23 years ago, 22, 400, I don't know. It was a long time ago. And I got really good at coaching. And I thought that if I was really awesome at coaching, I'll be the exceptional coach. Then I would be the old lady in a hut on a hill, and people from miles around would come to me for my wisdom. And they didn't. Nobody knew about me. I was well hidden. And then I realized, wow, there was the business side of coaching. And I realized that the big part of the business piece was sales. Come to find out, it's actually service, but I didn't know that. So for me, over here in the coaching realm, boy, I'd keep spending money to get better and better because I loved it. Mm-hmm. And then over here in the sales part, I was like down here 0, 1. I mean, I sucked at it. And that's when I realized, wow, that's what I've got to figure out. I've got to figure out that piece, because if I can't serve somebody, if I can't sell, we'll use that word, then I'm not going to have anybody that I can help. Mm-hmm. And that's when I hopped on the path when I decided to go pro. It's exactly what you said. There's all these stages of coaching. You got to get good as a coach. You've got to, realize it's not just this little hobby. Then you decide you're going to go pro. You laid that out really well. But then I decided I was going to go pro, and I had to find somebody to help me. So I'm part of, how did Dave put it, the Steve Chandler party? Yeah. Instead of the legacy of the party. I know you are too.
Very much so.
Yeah, and I joined the party and I realized I didn't know anything. So I had to begin to learn. And I had to stay at the party a pretty long time. There's other coaches who come into the party and then they leave the party and they go do other things. They figured it out pretty quickly. I was in the remedial group.
Yeah. I think To some degree, I'm still in the remedial group as well, even though like knowing. But when you said like that you didn't know anything, I suddenly just like got this feeling of relief. It's like what a relief it is to realize like that you don't know something, because it's often the experience is like, oh, I know what I need to do. I'm just like not doing it well, or I'm avoiding it, or it's not working. Is even worse. Like, oh, I've been doing everything and it's not working. I guess just this isn't meant to be. But when you realize like, oh wait, like there's this thing I haven't been doing, or there's this thing that I need to stop doing, and it suddenly becomes like really simple and really kind of scary, because there's this whole area. So it's like, oh my God, I need to like develop in this direction in order to really do this.
Yeah.
But that's exciting, because then there's like pure potential. And that's probably the biggest thing that I've gotten over the last maybe year and a half joining the Steve party, is that aha moment it's like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Like, it's not fully here yet for me. It's not like fully integrated, realized, but it's just like, like the world makes sense now. Like you know that things are possible, and you know like sort of why it wasn't working before.
Yeah. It's baby steps for sure. Definitely is. Yeah. For a long time, not knowing bugged the heck out of me. I mean, I didn't really like to learn. So, which sounds funny for somebody who's coaching. I didn't like to learn. I wanted to get things right. I wanted to get it right now. I wanted to, what Dave said was, get high paying clients. And then I realized I wanted to get right paying clients, not high paying clients, right paying clients for where I was in my business, in my own development. And they came, the right paying clients came. I created them, of course. I did a lot of work. I had a lot of conversations. And that's kind of funny, that word conversation. I remember the first time I heard, all you have to do is have conversations. What is Steve talking about? Have conversations? Where? Who? What do I do? So that was, I mean, there was all these different levels. So at the very end of your talk with Dave, you talked about getting a coach. And I was a coach without a coach for close to 18 years. And as a result, I didn't make money. I just didn't. And I remember being at the very first school. It was before it was called ACS. It was called Coaching Prosperity School. I think it was the year after Litvin left. And I was at this Coaching Prosperity School in Arizona, in Tucson, and Chandler standing up in front of the room of like 50 coaches. And he's like, now what you need to do is you need to get a coach. And I went, how convenient. This guy has got us in this room. He's got us into his school. Now he's pitching coaching. How convenient. I was so skeptical. But when I finally hired a coach, and I've hired a number of different coaches over the years, that's when everything shifted for me, because now I had somebody in my corner. So when I started to become afraid, when I started to have a lot of self-doubt, when I started to go off on some weird tangent, when I started to, I was never the coach who would be needy and creepy. I would be pushy and try to force people to coach with me. So of course they ran in the same direction that the other prospective clients did for coaches who are needy and creepy. I just happened to come at it from the other end. But when I got like that, I had somebody wake me up because I couldn't see it. So what I want to say is, for anybody who's listening to this, who's a coach, if you're hearing me say, yeah, how convenient, Melissa, hire a coach, don't hire one. Go and keep doing what you're doing, and whatever happens, and continue on whatever path you need. And then when you get to this place where you can't stand it anymore and you realize you still love coaching, hire someone. It doesn't have to be Buddha. It can be anybody, right? It can be somebody who's just a quarter of the block ahead of you. That's it. You know, they don't have to be blowing the top off of it.
It's like you don't have to hire Hardison right out of the gate.
No, you don't. There are a lot of coaches who want to hire him for their reasons. I think that's fabulous. Go hire him. But no, if you want to start getting your business rolling find someone. And actually, don't find another coach where you are just peer coaching all the time. Peer coaching's great, but what will happen is especially if this coach isn't in a coaching school, you'll reinforce each other's limiting stories. So I had a hobby partner for about 15 years, and it was so funny. We would reinforce each other's limiting stories. Yeah, nobody likes to pay for coaching. Gosh, everybody's got their bleep up their bleep, and what else? Oh, people are cheap, and, we're so much more superior than they are. And we had all these goofy stories that were just the result of, we were just too afraid to learn how to sell.
Yeah, there's like sharing the downward spiral through that relationship.
Oh my gosh, did we? We were masterful at the downward spiral. We believed all of it.
Yeah, I think like the peer coaching, it's that stage in between not having a coach and having a coach.
Yes.
It's like at least you're actually getting coaching. It's like the aha that coaches need to have is that no matter how good of a coach you are, just having someone who's not you there holding space for you is a godsend.
Yes. Especially if you've got a peer coach who will really be direct with you, which I love. So Melissa, can I share with you all the stories that just fell out of your mouth? Sure, please do that. But it's very true. It's like, if you're gonna make baby steps, and if you don't want to hire a coach right away, cool, go find somebody to peer coach. And I even think you said something about pay each other.
Yeah. So like that's something I know that other coaches in ACS have done this, where they have a peer coaching ongoing with each other. They actually send each other's checks.
Okay.
So it's really taking on that air of like, yeah, we happen to be coaching each other, but we're treating this as a real coaching relationship. There's still a client astonishment. There's still payment. It's like making sure that that's coming in to it. So it's counteracting that potential force of the downward spiral of like, oh, we're just going to like talk.
Yes.
Because then it just becomes geeking out with a friend and like a little bit of back and forth. But yeah, there isn't like the new energy coming into the relationship. And when you're a coach, when you're a client, it needs to be new every single time.
Yeah. What do you mean by new?
That there's the expectation on both sides that it's not the same conversation over and over again. For example, like the coach being like a quarter of a block ahead and always growing, always looking for more ways to serve the client, and the client always looking for like what more do they want, what more can they do, how can they use the coaching opportunity more. And I guess one of the dangers in peer coaching is it gets comfortable quick. It could get comfortable quick. When money's being exchanged, though, there's a lot more momentum created from that. There's a lot more investment on both sides. Yeah.
Well, I noticed when I pay a coach, even if it's for 4 sessions, or if I pay a coach for a year, the minute I pay that money, I've made a commitment to myself that I'm not going to let my ego get in the way of being coached. So I'm going to set aside my ego, my having to be right, my having to look good, my having to not be called out. I'm going to set that ego aside because I so want to learn and figure out how I can help myself get better. Because if I can get better, then I can get out there and I can help other people. And getting better is, I've discovered, it's not just the sales service piece. That's huge, the service piece. Now for me, it's ongoing service for sure, but it's my own personal development, working on a relationship, owning up to somebody saying, yeah, what you do in these personal relationships is you do these things and don't do those things anymore. So I get coached in my personal life, and it's like, oh my gosh. And that, putting aside my ego, allows me to be even a more loving, generous, compassionate, call it out if I have to, coach. So it's exciting, It's so
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. It's like there's this. It's like we're in on a secret behind coaching where it suddenly becomes a virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
And it's really like from us being coached and coachable and like continuously becoming less and less,
Hmm.
showing up empty. And
Yeah.
like that's where the coaching becomes so much more powerful, and that's where service comes from.
Hmm. Yeah, that's right. I would definitely say another reason to hire a coach is, boy, I thought I was really good. And then I got coached and I went, whoa, I'm not all that good. I mean, I'm okay. And then, you get coached, boy, you it's, and this is from my dear friend, Sherry Welsh. Your growth is exponential. Sherry had to teach me that. She's an engineer. But your growth is just like, it takes off. And yeah, it's so good. And you just improve. It's just like what you were saying when you were talking to Dave. Gosh, I do this peer coaching, then I see how somebody else coaches and I get something from them and it opens up my eyes and my world, and then I show up differently as a coach, and then I get to another peer coach and I learn something from them. This is the same thing, but your darn ego set aside.
Hmm.
And you're in and you're ready to roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I love is there's someone there. It's just like, and you're almost like you're looking for more things to work on all the time because you know that there's someone there. There's someone who can help you.
Yeah.
So it helps you unclench around the desire to be good or to
Yeah.
be finished or to like impress or
Yeah.
to have it together. It's almost like you're looking for ways like, okay, in what way am I not at all together?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
as an opportunity, knowing that there's going to be something beautiful through that.
You're so right. Okay, I so love that. I want to read something. This is awesome. Do you like Seth Godin?
I love Seth. Yeah.
I love Seth too. So I got this from Seth. I always have to read Seth, even though Brian Johnson tells us we shouldn't look at our phones first thing in the morning. I've got to roll over and talk to Seth. Here's what he says, and this he says: the problem you can't talk about is now two problems.
Hmm.
And that's what having a coach allows you to do, just to have one problem. And then when you're done with the session, you don't have any problems.
Mm-hmm.
You just lay it out there, and somebody who you can open up to and get some assistance
Mm-hmm.
with whatever's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. And it's also like reminding me of some recent sessions because I've been even more in the three principles world where it's just like, oh, you think you have a problem? Yeah, let's talk.
Yeah,
And afterwards, just like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's like, yep, we didn't solve anything, but the world got better.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yep, that's how I feel about Byron Katie. She's got her spin on the three P's in her own way, but same thing. You just got thought.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
This is cool. So, what else should we talk about?
Um, what was the turning point for you? What was this thing that happened 5 years ago?
Oh gosh, this is really good. So, the turning point for me was I got a job as a barista at Starbucks. And so, what's fascinating about this is I'm actually a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So, here I am. Here I am. I have a law degree. I practiced law for a number of years, realized I hated it, raised kids, helped my husband with his business. And then, of course, if you're really a coach and nobody else is getting insurance, insurance is very costly. So I complained so much to my insurance guy. He's like, hey, go get a part-time job at Starbucks. So I did. And I worked there for 3.5 years. And I basically, the turning point for me, because I love to learn lessons in the hard way, is I literally killed off my soul. And that's what I did. So for all of you out there, you don't have to go that far. But I got to that place where I thought, is this it? Really? This is the pinnacle of life? And at the time, I was 49 years old. Now, when you hit 49 and you go, is this it? And you feel like you've killed yourself off. At that point, I went, I'll do anything. I will do anything. And I had happened to get a hold of Steve Chandler. And I had listened to Steve Chandler on a cassette tape back in the late 90s. And he was doing owner-victim or whatever, one of his distinctions. And there's something I liked about the guy because he really didn't care how he came off. He wasn't trying to impress. And I was, of course, somebody who was always trying to impress. I'm like, kind of like this guy. And I don't know how I remembered his name, but I got in touch with him. And he immediately responded. And so the turning point for me was that I bought some sessions from him, and I was really stuck, and I was very skeptical, and I was very sure that he was going to take me, for a ride. I was positive this was the worst investment I ever made. And I had 10 sessions, and I eked them out over the course of a year and a half, which don't do that either. Just peer coach. Because you don't really get a lot out of conversations eked out every 2 months or whatever. And then I hired him again. So the turning point was really just kind of killing myself off internally. Like I wasn't allowing myself to do what I loved. And then finally just went, okay, whatever I need to do, I'm going to do it. I'm in. And so I was really happy not to have known what was ahead of me. And it's not all that bad. I mean, my experience isn't other coaches' experiences at all. I know some coaches, they just jump in, they take off, and they're really having fun, and they love learning. That really wasn't where I was at. So I had a little bit of path to walk down. But that's where it started. So it was really reaching out and asking for help.
Yeah, and one of the things that I get about you in that path is that, that's why you're coaching coaches.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the people who, they just leap into the career and just magically starts working, they charge this fee because I had no idea what to charge, and, that's what they wanted, and it just works. They're not coaching coaches right now because they haven't struggled yet.
Yeah. I call those people strippers. People just throw money at them. I'm like, you're a stripper. This is incredible. Let's just do a couple of things. We can tweak this. You're good to go. And then there's other people where I'm like, come on, hang in there. Don't give up. I'm the poster child. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And I sort of want to encourage both for people, for coaches, for clients, just there's some things it's okay for it to totally work magically. And don't try to stop that from happening. Don't try to make sure that it's going to be a struggle. But if it is a struggle, also enjoy that. Enjoy it's you're learning so much. You're creating value. It's if you stick with it, and you'll stick with it if you want it enough.
Yes, you will. And I'm learning to actually have more fun. I mean, that's brand new to me. Where some other people, like my buddy Dave Schwendeman, I mean, Dave loves fun. I'm kind of like, I want what Dave has. What's Dave doing over there? And yeah, so I just want to say, if it's easy, beautiful, and keep learning, and you'll figure other things out. Struggle is not the only path. Struggle is actually the least preferred path, but that's the one that I jumped on. That's where I was at. So it's kind of like, you hear that you can't skip your own evolution. I couldn't. So that's where I was at. The other thing that I want to add that's different than what you and Dave talked about is you've got to invest in coaching before you make the money from coaching. And the reason is, if you're having difficulty getting clients, I've had coaches say to me, listen, I want your help. I really do. And I'm going to go make some money coaching. And by the way, I don't know how to do that. And then I'll be back and I'll hire you to teach me how to make money coaching. So you can do that. but you will add more years to the path. And I'm not saying be stupid and run up credit card debt and get all crazy and go hold up old ladies in 7-Elevens or whatever, but really know that you start getting some assistance now and you move yourself along, it'll pay off. And a great story about that, Michael, was I borrowed money. And I borrowed a good sum of money, and my husband was just flipped out. He couldn't believe that I did this. And he said to me, there's probably not a market out there for what it is that you want to do. Are you sure? This is crazy. And he couldn't believe it. And then I did it again. I borrowed a little bit more money, and I kept going. And and I actually, some of the money I borrowed, I hid. I didn't even tell him. And because I was going to do this, you kill your soul off. You'll hide money. But I was doing it. And later, about I don't know how many years later, but there was a point where we're standing in our kitchen, and he looks at me, and goes, "I'm really glad you didn't listen to me." And I said, "About what?" And he said that you didn't listen to me, that there wasn't a market. You didn't listen to me saying you could just figure this out on your own. I get it. With the type of coaching you want to do and the coach you want to be and the business you want to create, you've got to invest up front. I get it. He goes, "I just didn't know that." And this is a very conservative businessman who's had his own business since 1998. This is a guy who's just not going to throw money around. And it was kind of like, yeah. So that was the other thing that I had to learn, that I had to be willing to pay that money to learn. And like I said, set aside my ego. That was my path.
Yeah, even in that I hear, I'm not even sure if it's a learning as much as, well, I'm not sure what your experience was when you were making that choice, but it sounds more like it's something you had to do.
Yeah, because see, I had been coaching for about, well, think about it, from like 95 to like 14 years, and I had a hobby. I didn't have a business. One year I made $5,000. That was I didn't.
And was that a good year or a bad year?
Except, but I didn't want to tell anybody because they actually knew it was a bad year. So I had this hobby because I just couldn't figure it out. And I was somebody who was like, come on, it can't be that hard. This is merely sales, come on. And I just didn't know what I was doing. And then finally when I thought, okay, I'm going to get some help. Yeah. That's when it shifted. But it required me to make the investment. And, I look at coaches, and the ones that I see taking off are the ones that have a coach. And again, you don't have to hire Tony Robbins, but get somebody who knows about service, knows about fear, knows about helping you stay in action, won't let you buy your own stories, because that's a biggie. I had so many. Do that. And make sure before you hire someone, have conversations with them first. Make sure that's the coach for you. Go talk to 10 of them. I don't care. And if they're not willing to do that and you feel like you've been slimed by them when they're trying to tell you how to work with them, next, go find somebody else.
Yeah, I think that's a good alternative point from what Dave was talking about. It's like, you don't need to go hire the super impressive coach. It's like, hire a coach who's right for you. And it's like a coach who's right for you, where like there's something there from the conversations. It's like you're moved. It's like you'll immediately get that there's more available when you talk to that coach.
Yeah, that's right. And I love it. Hire a coach. It's kind of like when people think there's like a soulmate out there that you're supposed to marry. There's not a soulmate. There's not a soul coach. Find a coach and get started. And here's the thing too, if you hire a coach and that person is doing things that you don't like, all good, because you'll go, I don't want to do that. So you will learn from a coach doing things that you wouldn't want to do. So you will always benefit.
Yeah. You get to be a client, which is that's like that's one of the biggest missing pieces for coaches going pro, the experience of being a client to a professional coach.
Yeah, yeah. Say more on that because I'm just right now going, yeah. So what else are you thinking about that?
Um, because most coaches, they do the training, they become a good coach. Then they try to start a business. They're trying to get clients, but they have very little concept of what the client's experience is,
Mm.
what it's like in the client's world, what it's like for the client to be approached by you as a coach, or to have a conversation with you, or to approach you, the ways that they might be like, their reactions to you, the ways that they might be afraid of potential, or afraid of you, or afraid of the sale, or afraid of bringing out their fears.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. I remember I had this guy that I invited to a conversation, really cool, interesting, entrepreneurial type. And he came in and we had this really rocking conversation for about an hour and a half. And halfway through, he said, can I tell you a secret?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You said you were a life coach." And I'm kind of like, "That's kind of weird." And I showed up and he goes, "I thought there'd be dream catchers or something hanging from your ceiling." And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Yeah, it's a little off-putting. I know the first time I was coached, I didn't know what to expect. It was a little disconcerting." He goes, "Yeah, I just didn't know." Because a lot of people don't know what it's like to be coached. And you're absolutely right. If you become a client, you get to have all that kind of discomfort and realize the courage it takes. It takes courage,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know?
it's terrifying. It's unusual. Like, most people have never been coached before. They don't know what it's like, and most coaches haven't been coached before. It's
Yeah, it's
And
true.
a lot of what I've been learning over the past year is just like more and more of that, more and more of getting the client's actual world, including around the idea of coaching, being with a coach. Like, what's it like over on their side?
Yeah, yeah,
What's the best way to be with them so that they're helped?
yeah. Very true. And every client's different.
Mm-hmm.
So here's something that's kind of fun. So one thing I love about being a client,
Mm-hmm.
investing in myself, is that who I am today is not the person I was 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, last week, yesterday. Um, so what's changed for you, Michael? How are you different today than you were, say, last month?
Mm.
What's changed for you?
It's hard for me to remember last month. It's like mostly like, um, more and more, I've been like more and more in the moment, and more like, what am I doing now? What am I doing now? What am I doing now?
Hmm.
To the point of like, yeah, for like a month ago, that's like, who knows what was happening back then. Very much in the creative space of what do I want to create right now or
Hmm.
next.
Hmm. So how does it look differently then for you? So that's how it feels and that's what it is. But like, what are some things you're doing differently now that you weren't doing before?
I've been rocking the like routines and practices over the last month. I'm exercising again is a big one. And
Good.
incorporating more and more. It's like, learning and writing and videos. One of the things that's like been arising recently is like, I've been doing a lot of these video conversations. Got started with Dave. I had one yesterday. I've got one scheduled next week with a woman that I met at Rich's last intensive.
Yeah. This is great. Well, I'm honored to be on your show.
Yeah, I didn't even know I had a show, but apparently I do.
You do.
Because I always have these great conversations, and this is one of the perfect ways to capture that. And it's so easy. I just show up. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I just get to be me.
Yeah.
It's like, and I get to like connect more with you and the people who I get to talk to in this medium.
Yeah. It is good. I like it too. I like not knowing where we're going to go.
Hmm.
It's like again, it's coaching. It's a conversation.
Yeah. And another thing that's different about me is like I'm even more. I've relaxed even more into the three principles stuff. Just like getting, whenever I'm stressing out or trying to figure something out, it's just like, oh yeah. It's like, yeah, this doesn't need to be a struggle.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, wait, and things will get better. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'll have the opportunity to, then the answer will like arise, or creativity will be there, or I'll just get lucky in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been happening. It's like, oh cool, this too, yes.
Love that. It's great. Hmm. Hmm.
What about you?
Um, Personal wise, and I shared at ACS, my relationship with my husband is changing so much because I'm changing for the better. That's been fabulous. Um, just incredible to see the change. It's just so good. It's so good. So of course, when I come across a client who's having a problem in a relationship, it's exciting to me because it's like, yeah, I think that's what I like. I think I like just this development piece because I can say to somebody, I understand, so I can connect with that person. So that's changed. Professionally, I'm at this place where, and I was thinking of you, where I definitely am choosing my clients. I had a call the other day, and this woman, we talked, and then I asked her if there was anything else I could do to help, and she said, well, I don't even know what you charge, and I don't know if you could help me. And I said, I don't think I can. Because I really couldn't, not where she's at. And I said, yeah, I think what you're doing right now is really great. And I'm going to send her an email and share a little bit more because in the moment I just know that I couldn't help her. She was just, well, what do I pay you? You don't pay me anything. You don't. So I'm choosing my clients. I'm at this place in my own practice where I can, and I used to hear about this, like it was some magical thing coming down from the mountains. But I'm at this place now where I can turn up the dial or turn down the dial on my income. I figured that piece out. That's pretty freaking awesome.
That's huge.
It is. It is. Before I used to think, oh yeah, that's just,
That's
again,
nice idea.
my skeptical side. Oh yeah, they're just saying that because they want you to think, wink, wink, it's possible. And now I can without, it used to be that if it was turned down, I'd feel afraid. I don't feel afraid. I just turned it down. If I want to turn it up, I can crank it up.
Yeah.
Just really happy. It's great. Yeah, feeling really good. You caught me at a good time.
You
Yeah.
were saying just before, it's like you wanted to have more fun. You are having more
Yes, I am having more fun. I am. And yeah, that's the intention. It's good. It's good stuff.
fun. Yeah. It's like I still want to have the dial. But the biggest change for me over the last year is like I get that there is a dial. I get that that's real.
Yes. There's a dial on this dashboard.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
and I know that there's a lot of things that I can do as long as I keep on doing it. It's like, it'd be nice to sort of like optimize while I'm doing it, but I know that there's a path that I'm on, that I'm following, and it's getting better.
Yeah. That's fabulous. I think I've said that's fabulous like 4,000 times. I've got to come up with something new.
This is the That's Fabulous show with
It
Melissa.
is. With Michael McDonald. That's fabulous. Yeah, that's what's going on with me. And just grateful for the group that we had at ACS. Looking forward to more of that. I love being in a group of coaches at all stages because I don't care where they're at on their path. I'm going to learn something from them. I respect and admire people who um, really get out there and say, I'm going to make this thing happen for myself. It means a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want their success. So I feel so grateful. It's like I've got all these coaches that I just love and I just want all the success. So I'm excited about next September.
Me too. Yeah, I'm excited about the time in between as well. I'm continuing to connect with people from that community
Yeah,
throughout.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, true.
Is there? There's probably like thousands of things we could be saying for coaches. Like, do you feel kind of complete, or do you want to like dive in to share even more? Or
You know, there's just one more thing. And I want to share this because this is a win. And when I say a win, it's a win for me as a coach, but it's a win for a client. And she's incredible. She's a coach, and she's been working with me for about 7 months, something like that. And we've got another month or so to go. And she got on the path. I've worked with her. I've helped her. I've seen her. This is the other great thing about having a coach, because it's not this. It's not this. It's this. And when she's been down, and I'm like, okay, and she's been up and down, and I've one of the big things I learned with coaches is that they don't understand what service means, and I didn't understand what service meant.
yeah, this is something I definitely want you to talk about, because
Yeah.
this is something that you are particularly strong in, and something that coaches need to hear
Thank
around
you.
service.
Thanks. Yeah, that was my big struggle. It's like service. I didn't know what that meant. I thought conversations was confusing. I didn't know what service meant. And it takes time to understand what it means for you. And the definition, I always say to coaches when we first start off, I want you to come up with a definition of what service means to you. I want you to get a baseline. And we talk about it, and then they come up with their version of it, words that resonate with them. And then as we go along, they continually redefine what service means. So somebody might start off with, and this is where I started, how can I help? And then it might evolve into, how can I help? And boy, I'm part of the equation of service. So I've got to work with people that I really enjoy working with, or whatever it is. And then to this point where my definition of service now is to fearlessly love somebody without attachment. And that's a lot of fun. And it's going to keep changing. So as I work with coaches, or if I even work with entrepreneurs, we talk about service. What does it mean? I had this one woman, I love her. She said, service is my calling meets my client's calling, and together we make beautiful love. Like, now that's service. Woohoo!
That's service.
And then other definitions, and some are just hysterically funny. And we laugh, and then they go on and they come up with another definition. So this one woman started off, and her version of service has changed. And she's, like I said, she's got a month left with me, and she's an exceptional coach. And I texted her today before you and I got on the It's Fabulous show. And I said, hey, can I share with everybody your what happened? And she said yes. So this morning, I get this email, and it says, oh my God, Melissa, I woke up at 3:30 and I suddenly got it. I had all these ideas floating around, and instead of trying to go back to sleep, I started writing them all down. And then it all came together, and I got it about conversations and service and why I could even gift this particular person a couple of sessions. Because I'm not saying I will work with him, not offering him coaching, just having a mind-blowing conversation and then letting him take it into his life and out into the world. Then I realized I needed to have summer plans. And she goes on and on. She goes, in minutes, I created a list of 25 people to offer a session to. And it was entirely different than the one I brought to Chicago when I first met you. And then she went on and she said, I just got it. Fill your day with conversations When you are offering from a heart of pure service, there is no obligation on their part to become a client, and I can freely give with no attachment to the outcome to so many, because if I'm not inviting them to become a long-term client, I'm merely helping them and gifting them a conversation. When I wow them, even if we never work together, they will carry that with them and share it with others. So I'm short on sleep and a little bleary-eyed, but super stoked about this next revelation. And you're right. You can't skip your own evolution. You told me that. No kidding. And that made my day. Like, yeah!
Yeah.
Love it. This woman is great, and she's just killing it. She, like you hit these levels of realization about what service means, and you deepen and broaden your understanding of it, and it changes how you show up as a coach and the impact you make with people. And it's a beautiful thing. It's your calling meets their calling, and it makes beautiful love together.
Oh God, I love that.
Yeah.
This is the best job in the world.
It is. It is. And I'm so glad you're in it, and I really appreciate you. And Dave, that was awesome. That really got me going, and I'm so glad I acted on it and then watched again.
I'm glad you did too. And I created this opportunity to connect with you and to share this with others.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We're set. I'm complete. We're
All right.
served.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.